siege in Sydney.
They made the call because they believed that at that time, if they didn't enter, there would have been many more lives lost.
Australian police storm a cafe where hostages had been held at gunpoint for more than 16 hours.
And a total of 3 people are dead, 4 others were injured.
And a police officer suffered a gunshot wound to the face. CBS 4's Brian Andrews joins us in the studio with this terrifying ordeal. Brian.
Well, Erica and Rick, the turning point came 16 hours into the standoff when the hostage negotiator told his commanders that things were going south fast.
Police move in with big guns and stun grenades as the hostages left inside the cafe run out 16 hours after it all began, and they were the lucky ones. 2 hostages were killed. A police officer shot in the face but survived, taking out the gunman. It was the day terrorism arrived in the heart of Sydney. Imagine the horror experienced by the 17 captives, 5 of whom escaped early on during the standoff, running for their lives.
They're very brave people who, in many cases, were just buying a cup of coffee and they got caught up in this dreadful affair.
The hostage taker identified as Manharon Moniz, an Iranian refugee and self-styled cleric with a lengthy criminal past. Police tried negotiating with him as he forced some of his captives to raise a black Sunni extremist flag in a window.
Hi everyone.
Australian media received a video in which a captive delivered the gunman's demands.
We had 3 specific requests and none of those have been met.
Look, you can probably hear the loud explosions behind me.
While some ran to safety when it was over, others, like this woman, were carried out, rushed to waiting ambulances.
I've counted at least 4 stretchers going that way.
Yeah, we can see that on the live shot there.
Someone was seen being dragged out of the cafe.
This was an isolated incident. It is an isolated incident. Do not let this sort of incident bring about any loss of confidence about working or visiting in our city. It was the act of an individual. This should never destroy or change the way of our life.
The gunman in Australia was considered a lone wolf. He had a history of run-ins with the Australian law, and also he was known for having problems with mental illness. I'm Brian Andrews, CBS 4 News.
Brian, thank you, and stay with CBS 4 News and CBSMiami.com for continuing coverage of the siege in Sydney.